All right. Welcome, guys, to another behind the track video. Now that I have access to actually show you guys the audio from the actual tracks, I'm kind of re recording some of the previous ones. So, what we're going to be looking at today is going to be a re recording of the second video I did on essentially my second track or my second decent track that I released. This one is called Let's Work. And essentially, what I had done in that video that I'm going to re-show today with actual audio is go through a few aspects that are similar to what I looked at in the behind the track of Let's Work. But in this case, we're going to look at some of the differences, but also some of the similarities in this one. First thing I want to say is I apologize if I'm leaning to the left and the audio is not great. I'm right in the middle of the sun, and my camera's on the opposite side. So just bear with me if my mic is not too loud, but hopefully my voice is loud enough that it carries across. So let's talk this track, right? One of the first things that I changed going into Let's Work was the approach I took towards the actual kick. I learned and saw from a few artists that I follow and respect that not only should you be separating the sub bass, but you also are better off separating the sub kick or the low end of the actual kick itself. So what I've done in this track is go with a actual. Oh my god, the sun is like moving and it's getting worse and worse. At one point, I'm going to be over here. So what I did was integrate a sub kick into this track. Now, this wasn't done on Let's Work. If you go back to that video, you realize that I just had one kick layered with another. Obviously, I spoke to those in that video, and it wasn't too much layering, but I really took that next level here with Let's Work. So diving into the actual kick itself, I mean, I haven't heard this in a while, so let's see what I use as an actual regular kick. All right, it's got a lot of punch to it, but also a lot of transients and highs, as you can see here. I'm surprised that I kept the lows. Clearly, you could tell this is my first time using a sub kick and a regular high kick. I did not carve out that low end at all. But I also did implement the sub kick. So what does sub kick sound like here? Oh wow, it's really just low. Oh yeah, I remember this one. This is one of the first ones I found. Finding good sub kicks is not easy. I've been looking for one that sounds, as perfect as possible, so I could just keep using the same one. But I mean, I think I've changed in every track I've done ever since I started implementing this. So that's what they sound like separate together. I mean, one of the things I noted is that the artist or the artist that I got this from, they were only taking the sub kick. Sorry, they were only taking the regular high kick on on every. It wasn't on every fourth. It wasn't fourth to the floor. It was. Oh no, I don't want that. It was actually, you're skipping. It was every second fourth, right? So essentially here you're only getting the high every second, and that's what I've done ever since. So in terms of the selection of it, I mean, these sound choices, looking back, that could have probably done better. I could have probably scooped out a bit of the low end on the high one because they're probably interfering a lot, and there's probably some phase issues on this. I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't know what phase or phasing was when I did this video, or when I did the song. So I've learned since. In terms of mixing, not too much going on here. Once again, the KSHMR essentials on the actual high kick, and then just an EQ, no compression whatsoever there. Was there some maybe in here? Not even, no compression there at all. And in the sub kick, I mean, nothing, just scooping out the highs. So together, I mean, not too much going on here. I'm always gonna have my kick, but yeah, I'll have my glue for my kick and bass bus here that we spoke to in the last video, so nothing new there. I want to hear what my bass sounds like. On this song, you can see I have a lot of going on in terms of my bass. There was so much time and effort put into this bass. Like it's all I spent my time on, and I mean, I think it came out good. So let's hear it all together. I mean, I remember it being better. Maybe it just sounds better in the mix, but alone, it's exactly what I remember it being in terms of what I implemented. There was two layers and then a sub under it. So the first one I remember it wasn't enough. Yeah, it was very much just a bouncy vibe to it, but it was missing grittiness, and that's where I really brought in the second one, and this is really where the grit came in. Yeah. I mean, them two together, like you got that bounciness, but that grittiness together. So I really liked that at that time. Um, and obviously my sub. I'm actually curious what the sub sounded like. Just yeah, nothing special. Yeah. And again, here the sub. This is something I started doing a lot on this track because again, I was with every track you release or every track you work on, you learn something new and you realize something new and you try something new. Here I was scooping out a lot of the actual sound with this sub. So if I let's say take out that like that, there's a lot of transients there that I got rid of. Yeah, because I really just wanted those low frequencies. So together. And now let's see all together with the kick. So here's another thing I started doing, I think around this point is at first I was always ducking mathematically. I mean, it made sense to do what I'm about to show you. I obviously always had some sort of, well, in this case it's a volume shaper, but you could call it whatever you want. Inside chain, volume shaper. In this case, I'm using shaper box because I like to physically see it and see the actual volume duck. So, I mean, you could see that like at no point were they ever crossing. I mean, I could have probably pushed this a little bit further to the right, but obviously, so for that purpose, I didn't. But what I started doing differently was also doing that to the kick itself, like taking the same one and kind of flipping it. And, my kick is now being. It's much shorter. You could hear it. So there's literally no chance that they're ever fighting each other, right? So that's something I started doing on this track as well. Mixing on the basses here, compressor and EQ, compressor, EQ, and same thing here. And then the actual group, nothing crazy here. So that's all I really want to speak to on this one. There's so much in this track. I put a lot of time. And I mean, the elements are very simple. Like I didn't really there's still stuff here that I didn't even use. Like I had strings I thought I would use and I never did. But the idea with this track was really a heavy, very gritty, hard. I wouldn't say futuristic low end, but like you saw with that kick and that bass, it was aggressive and very gritty, and that's why I had that second high bass to add that grittiness, right? Because the vocals I had found that I was working with were I wouldn't say talk boxes. I'm not sure if that's that's what they actually were. They might have been just, I'm not sure what they could have been used for, but there's obviously different versions of this audio. So I'll give you an idea. Work it to the bone. That's what. I'm actually curious. You might say it in the name. Talkbox. Okay, yeah. So it was a Talkbox, and I got this file. I'm not sure. It might have been off Splice. It might have been on Loop Cloud or whatever it was. And like when I heard that, and I thought I had the idea of the kick and the bass already being super futuristic and aggressive, I'm like, okay, I know I'm going with this. You know, like I remember when I had paired them together, like with nothing else, obviously no processing and whatnot. Work it to the bone. That's what. Work it to the bone. Work it to the bone. That's what. Work it to the bone. That's what. Like I had something there, and it spoke to me. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I don't want to dive into much else because again, I'm just re-recording the first two videos I did, and this time with actual audio from the project. And if I go into, let's say, the drums or the keys or anything else in another video, I'll save it for that. But for now, that's what we're talking to today. Once again, the kick, the bass, and kind of the angle I took this, or the I want to say angle, the trajectory I took we're going into this track. So thank you guys for whoever is watching. Thank you for your time. And if you learned anything from today, I'm grateful because I mean, I'm doing these to really not only give exposure to my tracks, but to hopefully teach some people out there some new tricks or some new tips. So if I did, I'm grateful, and I hope you take something away from this. If you haven't, well, I hope you just enjoyed the video itself. So thank you guys.